Welcome out to our weekly Mastermind call. Last week on our call, we had dedicated the call to talking to moms, trying to figure out how they were able to do it all. And so, and frankly, I still want to learn from you because I heard some of the coolest ideas I've ever heard. And, you know, if you've ever heard the phrase that says necessity is the mother of all invention, I think that that it was best demonstrated last week when we were hearing from all of those different moms. So I'm going to open this up again. We had a lot of hands of people that raised hands, and they were going to share how they do it. And so, look, this call is dedicated again to if you are a mother and you are trying to figure out how to build a doTERRA business, how did you do it? I mean, a lot of times these were mothers that were homeschooling their kids and so forth, and they still were able to do it. And so I'm going to pick up where we left off last week. If you have any of those insights, hit star 5-star. Again, the same topic as last week. So how did you do it? If you're a mom, maybe you homeschool, maybe you don't, but you have these little kids and you've got to take care of them. You've got all the responsibilities to figure out how to balance and manage everything that's going on in your life. How did you do it? Star 5-star. All right. Allie Baker. I just unmuted your line. Go ahead.
Hey, Seth. So I loved the topic, and I was really inspired by last week's call, and wanted to share some things, and I was like, no, I'm not going to share, but then, like, I feel like I have to. So I'm still relatively new in the building of the doTERRA business side of things, but I've been noticing a lot of parallels between my life as a mom and my life as a doTERRA builder. And so I've noticed that I've been implementing principles into both areas at the same time. So I have always been kind of a perfectionist, and I can't let anybody else be bothered or have, you know, any sort of inconvenience in their lives. And so I would just take stuff on and take stuff on and take stuff on, and my house was always a disaster. I could never keep it clean. I couldn't figure out how to get organized, and lots of things were piling up. But recently, okay, sorry, my 3-year-old's freaking out. But recently I've kind of just taken
I actually
things.
think it's perfect, just so you know, because it just makes it so authentic. Keep going.
It just paints a really beautiful picture of what's actually happening there. So I've kind of recently just let go of a lot of that, and right now is what I've deemed my preparatory phase in both my family and my doTERRA business. The last couple of weeks, I've been recruiting my kids. I have 4 kids, 6 and under, and my older kids I've been recruiting into doing a lot of household chores. So they now load and unload the dishwasher. They're learning how to clean bathrooms, start to finish. They're vacuuming. They're putting their own laundry away. All these things that I kept trying to do by myself, and I just couldn't. Like keeping a family of 6 running smoothly was just taking its toll on me. And since I've kind of delegated that out to my kids, it's been really fascinating to see how the preparatory phase in my home life, I'm teaching them how to do these chores. I'm teaching them how to learn all the steps so that hopefully in about 6 months or so, I'll be able to just look at them and be like, the dishwasher, and they'll know exactly what that means. They'll check it, they'll see if it's clean or dirty, and they'll know what to do. Or I'll say, your bathroom is this bathroom, and they'll know that they've got to clean the sinks, the counters, the mirrors, and the toilet, and that will be their thing. And it's also applicable in my doTERRA business. I've just recently gotten my first builder, and so right now I'm in the prep phase for her of teaching her how to use her oils, teaching her about her back office, teaching her about LRP, and teaching her about how to teach classes and how to talk to people about it. And as I'm in this phase, I'm hoping that in about 3 to 6 months of that hands-on mentoring and coaching that she'll be able to then take off and do those things on her own without me having to be right there. And so I've just kind of looked at this phase as a prep phase for my family and my business so that, you know, in the next 6 months to a year, when I hit another phase, things will be running smoothly in these areas, and they'll prep me for the next set of experiences and challenges that I'll be having in the future. Does that all make sense?
Right. Absolutely. No, I actually think that it makes perfect sense. And the thing that's really cool about what you're saying, Allie, is that you're having to be, I mean, the question was, for those of you who have joined the call since Allie was speaking, I wanted to pick up where we left off last week. And last week we were discussing, if you're a mom and you've got all of these responsibilities, how do you do it? How do you juggle everything that you have to do? A lot of the moms are homeschool moms, and they never have time away from these kids, or I should say, government supported systems away from them, and they still figure out how to do it. I mean, my sister Jacqueline being a great example. You know, I just got in awe watching her and Heidi. Both of my sisters were homeschooled moms that figured out how to go diamond with everything on their plate, and I've always wondered how. And so Allie was just mentioning some things where she had to learn how to teach her kids to start lifting some of the burden that she was carrying. And the funny so it's interesting because the question was, how as a mom do you do that? And the answer that Allie gave was, be a better mom. and I think that's not what she said, but that's what I heard, which is, I had to teach my kids how to do these things so that I had to teach them more responsibility, and I love that. One of the things what Allie, when she was speaking, it brought to mind a mastermind call that we had probably, it was years ago, but I remember the concept was, you know, when she was mentioning, you know, how am I going to do this? I feel like my house is a mess and all these things. And I remember that we were describing that every time you grow, it feels like chaos happens until you figure out how to manage and control the chaos, and then you get control of and then it starts to feel like in control again until you grow again. Because every time you grow, it creates a whole new level of chaos, and you have to figure out how to manage all of that at the same time. So let's again, the question is just the same as last week. How do you do it? You're a mom. You have everything that you have to do as a mother, and then you do doTERRA too. How do you do it? Star or 5-star will raise your hand. And if it's anything like last week, everyone will be really shy, and then at the end of the call, I'll have like 20 hands raised, and I can't get to them. So one of them is a 619 area code. I just unmuted your line. What is your
Hi.
name? What's your share?
It's Courtney. I'm in Campbell, California. How are you?
Good.
Good. I have 2 kids. One's going to be 3 in February, and the other one is just turned 7 months, actually. And I think I'm maybe a bit more fortunate because I have a full-time job that is on the computer. So I actually, professionally, I'm in the pharmaceutical drug world. So personally, I'm extremely holistic. So I kind of have 2 sides of the spectrum. But because I'm on the computer all day anyway, I really leverage, you know, social media, and I have my own Facebook group, private group. And I try to post in there, you know, once or twice a day to keep traction going. And I've actually got a lot of results and a lot of positive responses, and people like interested and wanting to join. And so that's, to me, an easy way to maybe keep the traction going, but also grow your business. And then I actually hold to keep my sanity. My husband takes the kids on Thursday night once a month, maybe twice a month now, and he takes the kids, and I have a nice oils club night, and I have all the ladies and the neighborhood friends and whoever else come over, and it could be new people, friends of friends, and we just talk about the oils. We have a very informal class for any newcomers, and we all share our experiences, and we inspire others. And I came back from convention and I shared a bunch of co-op back sourcing and showed a couple of videos, and people were crying. So that's all I've been doing for the past maybe over a year now. And I think I'm at 50 members on my team now. So that's my process to date. And I just got a nice little notepad booklet from Lydia, and it was kind of, I think, the 6-week course, like going to a new rank, how to get to a new rank in 6 weeks. So I haven't dove into that yet, but that's
so can I ask
a little
you,
bit of my share.
Let me ask you a couple of follow-ups on that. So
Sure.
Generally speaking, we've I should say I've been a little critical of people who they think they're building their doTERRA business when they're posting on Facebook. But you have built your doTERRA business while posting on Facebook. So I'm
yeah.
Curious. So you said that you created a group, right?
I do. I have my own group, and I have my own personal private events. So in my regular Facebook, to all of my, thousands of friends that I have, I don't post there. I have my own group, private group, and I post in that. So anytime I talk to somebody or anytime that someone's interested, I add them to that group.
Gotcha.
For any of the moms that I know that may be interested, then they see, my posts on a daily basis, and they can opt out if they choose. But I have about 419 members in that group right now.
Gotcha.
So that's where I share. Mm-hmm.
Right. So you created a group that's dedicated to your essential oil business,
mm-hmm.
and then you've reached out and talked to people, and when they've expressed interest, you've added them to that group. Now, with 400 members, did you add all 400 members, or did they also bring in people?
Both. I think I added probably 30. Well, I'd say actually 80% of them, and 20% have come in from. From others.
Did you actually talk to them before you added them, or did you just add them and then start posting things, and then those that were interested started responding?
Yes, exactly. The people that I added were either really close friends, family, moms, acquaintances, people I knew probably wouldn't mind. So I just assumed, and the others that finally tell me they're of interest, or they see something, or we chat randomly, then yes, I add them that way.
Gotcha.
Formally.
So I imagine in that group you're probably giving them tips on essential oils and inviting them to classes and things like that. And if you have 400 people in there, it's like someone is going to be interested.
Yeah, exactly. And some of the doTERRA International, or some of the Pinterest, or something, just something fun I found, essential oil style. It's frankincense is my second favorite F word, like little pictures like that. I mean, it's little things, I just try to make it fun in addition to educational.
Okay, great. Thank you, Courtney. Thanks for that.
No problem.
That insight. All right, there's a 970 area code. I've just unmuted your line. Go ahead. Oh, what's your name first?
Hi, I'm Amy.
I'm sorry, did you say Amy?
Yes, Amy. Hi.
Okay. Hi. Go ahead, Amy.
Okay, well, here's the mom thing. I'm the mother of a 30-year-old daughter, and she is amazing, married, happily, dog, everything, the whole groovy lifestyle. But she is into horses, and we just purchased a horse, and she said, Mom, how am I going to afford the monthly maintenance? And I said, well, we need to figure that out. And so I've been doing doTERRA and making money. And I said, well, kiddo, how about you jump in? So she jumped in, and she's already got so many people below her that the motivation is manifestation, meaning she wanted it, she's going to do it, she's doing it, and it's just really cool. And that's my mom's story. Doesn't matter if they're 2 or 3.
Thanks, Amy. All right, so Amy brought up a really important point, and it's actually going to be where I'm going to take this call next. I was talking to Courtney Moses before the call, and we were laughing about her her comments last week because it was like, I'm going to quote her on this, but it's something to the effect of, like, moms will tell me, they'll say, they'll say, well, this summer is my last summer with my kids, before they leave. And she goes, so are they going to die? And so, and so when she said that, it was just, I'm sorry, I'll get control of myself here. But anyway, but the point was that she was just kind of saying, everybody has these excuses, right? And so I think one of the biggest problems that moms experience is they have this mom guilt, and they want to be there for the kids for everything. And can I see that Courtney raised her hand? And so I'm sure so I'm sure she's trying to redeem herself a little bit, but my point is that I gotta get control here. All right, so but when Amy was talking about it, she said she mentioned basically the important thing was the motivation. And so I was talking to Courtney before the call, and I said, the thing is that comment probably came across a certain way, but if you understood why Courtney built her business and why there was it was just kind of a no excuses approach to her business. There was no excuse not to do it. You found a way. And so we were discussing this morning that similar to what Alonto Mangendog taught at a leadership summit a couple years ago, he goes, many of you would look at me as a immigrant to the country. I came here from the Philippines, didn't know the language, all of these different setbacks that he had, and then he goes, and many people would say, and now I'm a Blue Diamond. He goes, many people would ask, how did you do it? And he goes, that's not the important question. The important question is why did I do it? And that's where I want to take the call. So the last week and then the first 20 minutes of this call, we've talked about how you do it. And so I still want to dedicate this to the mothers. Why do you do it? Why do you figure out how to make this work? And so that's, again, I'm opening this up to all the moms on the call. It's star 5 star to raise your hand. And what I want to ask is the answer is, or the question is, why do you do this? And I'm going to let Courtney go first because I just I just talked about her. So, all right, Courtney, go ahead.
Sure. Now you unmute me. So lucky that I was muted. I was like cussing your name up and down. All right. Well, I was not prepared to answer, but I will. It was really interesting, when Seth and I were talking earlier today because, it was one of those things that on Facebook there was a thread about that comment that I'd made, and I went into a little bit more explanation of why I said that. And really it came down for me. My very first goal in doTERRA was to earn $1,000 a month and to go silver. Like, that was it. And the reason for that is I knew that $1,000 was a lifestyle change, right? That's a car payment, that's several car payments, that's a mortgage, that's $12,000 a year. That could be several family vacations, a lot of things that I was not able to provide for my children at that time. And to even think about going camping with my kids on a vacation, I couldn't even afford that, right? And so for me, I did this. In the beginning, there was a specific amount of wanting $1,000 a month to be silver, but more importantly, it's what that did for my lifestyle with my kids. And I didn't want just time with my kids. I wanted quality time with my kids. And it wasn't quality time sitting on the couch watching a TV and not doing a damn thing with them because I was too depressed about my situation to even function, too depressed to even play Legos with them or take them to a park or go out and, camping or anything like that because I couldn't afford anything, right? And so when I make a harsh comment that can sound harsh like I did last week, it's because I understand the difference of time with someone versus the quality of time with them. And not only did I want a quality time with my children, I wanted a quality life with them. I wanted to show them that I had energy and desire to live.
I wanted to show them that there's more outside of the four walls of our home. I wanted to show them that we can serve other people, that we didn't have to be the ones that people always served because we didn't have anything. So it comes down to I wanted a better life for us, and I knew $1,000 was a way to get there. And anything less than that wouldn't begin to make a change that would motivate me enough to get out of the home and do the necessary things to build this business.
Thanks, Court. All right, I'm gonna go to someone in a moment, but you know what Courtney just described. It was really awesome to watch her life change, and you know, and she literally was the no excuse person. Anyway, I'm gonna go to one of the people on her team, Rebecca Harmon. What are your comments?
Hi, here I am. So
Hi.
when you changed the question a second ago to being why we do doTERRA, it really made me think listening to Courtney. So we, like, in life, we go to high school. We hear that we can do anything that we want to do. I might not be able to say this because I have a really cranky 1-year-old. Let's see if I can do something to make him happy. Sorry. Anyway, we kind of get told you could do anything you want. You could be anything you want, but they don't teach us how to do that. And so there's like all of these mothers, all of these moms, a couple of years after high school, maybe with kids and a family or whatever, or maybe just alone and lonely, that feel betrayed by all those times that they heard that they could do it. And now here they are with a life that they feel powerless to change, and they're not doing anything that they wanted to do. And when I started doTERRA, I, from the outside, looked like a really happy mom. You know, I've got 2 beautiful kids. I was taking care of myself. But on the inside, I was really sick with emotion that I didn't know how to deal with, of being a failure, living in this tiny town, which is not where I wanted to be, in this house that I don't like. And I dropped out of college to have babies. Like, there was all of these failures in my life that I was really long-term depressed and failing to cope with. And through doTERRA, it's been 5 years now, Kristen and I were just saying, and it has been one of the most beautiful journeys of personal development that could possibly happen to somebody. I love all the skills that I've been able to learn as a mom. When you said, how do I do doTERRA and be a mom? How do I be a mom and, on top of that, be a businesswoman? And you said Allie's comment was, I have to be a better mom, and that's absolutely true. I had to learn how to buck up and deal with things instead of falling to pieces. I had to follow pieces really fast and put it back together so I could go out the door and do a class. Hey! And, be able to make, schedule things and be able to travel cross country and figure out how to make trips all the time instead of trips that some people only take once a year and it's overwhelming to them. Like, I just had to learn how to do so many overwhelming things in so short of a time. And I just have to say, I'm working with this other mom in a responsibility that I have at church, and it is a challenge for me to work with her because she, like me, has 4 kids, and every day is overwhelming. Every day it seems like there is something. She is sick, they're sick, there's like too much going on. The mommy excuses never end, and it is so hard to get anything done with her. And I just, with all of the guilt and the things that we really wind ourselves up around, I feel bad because I'm leaving my kids again. I feel bad because I missed the piano recital. I feel bad, like all of the guilt, blah, blah, blah. It's it's so worth it. I can do so much more good on this planet than I can hold up in my house being the best little emotional wreck mom that people can imagine, like the perfect Pinterest mom. That mom is an emotional wreck. And I love leaving my house sometimes and like bringing about great things on this whole planet and staying home and saying, oh, no, my baby needs me and no one else can fill that role is selfish, and it takes time away from their dad, and it takes time away from their grandparents who they're building relationships with now, and they're fine. They're well-adjusted, beautiful kids. And I think that if it was just me with them all the time, they wouldn't be well-adjusted, beautiful kids. And I'm just so grateful for this one quote that motivated me. This is the last thing I'm going to say. I'm so grateful for this quote that motivated me, saying something like, it is so selfish to think that you can do the most good on this planet by being at home, because there's so many people out there that need what you have, and you need to share it. And that making myself a better woman so that I can be that, everything to my kids plus more, everything to somebody else, has really changed my life and made a lot of good and difference.
Yeah. And, Rebecca, you're bringing up, it's kind of interesting because it's this interesting balancing act, because if you were just home, like I personally believe that the most important work that any of us do in our lives actually is within the walls of our own homes. I personally believe that, and I imagine you do too. Like, I think that the work that you do with your children, as a father, I'm speaking as a father, is more important than even the work that I do outside of the home, because the next generation, hopefully my children are learning from me. Hopefully my sons are learning how to be good fathers and husbands, which will bring about more good fathers and husbands. Hopefully my daughters are learning what kind of man they need to look for. I hope I'm setting that example. And obviously that leads to all these other things. But to your point, if you feel like it means that nothing can happen outside of the home, I think that it's going to actually cause some major problems. And my mom was probably the best example of this, because she was the one that got all of us dreaming. And so when anybody would say, oh, no, whenever I bring doTERRA up with people and they say, oh, no, I can't do that because I want to be just a mom, I just kind of look at them quizzically and go, what's your definition of just a mom? Because my mom was, while she did her amazing, important work inside the walls of her own home, she was in the meantime inspiring us to live a life that by the work that she was doing with us outside of the home. And so anyway, I love your comment. Johanna, I just unmuted your line. Go ahead.
Yes, sorry. It's always a struggle to get back in there and unmute myself just in case.
No problem.
So I am so passionate about this topic because for me, when I was first introduced to doTERRA, we were in a really bad place of just not having direction, not having finances, not being able to do all the things that I wanted to do, and being at a crossroads where I was either going to have to go out and get a 9-to-5 retail job of some kind to be able to help with our finances, which would mean giving up what I am so passionate about, and that is educating my kids and being a very presence in their life. And so when I met doTERRA, I was all over what the business was about from the very beginning, because I saw the potential for me to be able to continue to do what I was so passionate about and not have to give that up, because I needed to bring in additional income for our family. And that why of that hope of I can do this from my home. I can schedule it to when, on the days where my husband is home, his day off is like a solid work day for me. I schedule appointments, and then I'm in and out of the house all day long on that day, making things, happen, working around what I do have. But it has provided that income to where I have been able to stay home and be with my kids. And that doesn't mean that I don't get babysitters and I don't do things and make things happen, you know, to do the business things, going to convention, leadership, you know, those things. But I didn't have to put them into, you know, a public school or, you know, those things that I really wanted to do myself.
Yeah.
And so sharing, you know, that passion of like, this is totally possible. Like what you want out of life, you can make happen. And you just have to find the right vehicle to help you to get there. And being a part of this team and the support system has been so huge at, you know, just on those days where I'm like, why do I do this? You know, no, and you go back to like, no, this is the power to do what I want, to be able to provide the life that I want my kids to have, and to come out of that place where we were has just been absolutely huge and life changing. You know, of we do it because it gives us the options that we want in life. It gives us what we want.
Yeah. I think, Johanna, I love what you're bringing up because it's kind of touching on what Rebecca just said. And that is that sometimes we do this so that when the time that we do spend with our kids, they're getting the best version of who we need to be. And
absolutely.
And you know, going out and, you know, like we talk about this a lot, that people who actually become diamond, and like, you have to become the best version of who you are in order to reach diamond. It isn't going to happen without you changing and becoming a better person. And so the fact that you have to become a better person, and then that the financial freedom allows you to spend time with your kids. I spend a lot more time with my kids now than I did when I had before doTERRA. And the difference is that they're getting a better version of who Dad is. And I imagine that's the same way with the mothers as well. Like, you know, what kind of influence are you on your kids? Kim, Alan, what are your thoughts? Why do you do this?
Well, this is a really great call. Well, I'm kind of working off of Courtney's topic that she talked about, Courtney Moses, because in the beginning, oh no, I'm already emotional. We just wanted to have kids, and so it took us 4 years, and it was a hard journey. I knew I had peace during that, but when we got started in our journey of doTERRA, I was thinking, okay, I could do things for my body with the products. The reason I'm so emotional, I haven't shared this yet, but I was talking to Courtney one day, and we were about to adopt, and we couldn't afford even $1,000 deposit at the time, and we had raised some money for it, you know, saved up some money, and she said, well, how much do you need? And she wrote a check and mailed it out to us so that we could adopt and start that process. I think I'm so emotional because you can see that it came full circle of why Courtney did it. You know, that she wanted to be able to help others, and she did that. That's all I wanted to share about Courtney being able to give back. And then since she was we actually didn't need to use that check because a couple months later we were actually pregnant because the miracle of doTERRA products worked in our life. But I just wanted to pay tribute to Courtney because and a lot of other people on this call have been able to help so many people, but just because I was on her team and we connected and we were talking, I mean, she was so willing with any extra that she had to just write a check because she was emotionally available and financially available. Because if you're not emotionally available because of finances, it's hard to even have that conversation with somebody or, get to know people. So I'm really grateful for her and her example. And then throughout our journey, we still struggled financially and struggled to put healthy food in our home. And I just had inspiration to start, I'm also pregnant with my third, so emotions run high. To start a Grocery Bags of Hope, this foundation that I started to bring food to families that are in need. And so it's it comes full circle. Somebody helps you and you want to help them. But we had to get out of our situation to be able to give back and to be able to see past our own needs. And it's possible to do that, but it's just if you're financially available, you're emotionally available, and it just changes a lot. And so your journey, it just why not do it? Because we're showing our kids, hey, let's go give food to this family, and we take them with us. When otherwise I wouldn't be able to think about that. I wouldn't be able to say, let's go help these people, because we would probably have to be working a second job or, and we brought Todd home from his job, and he's been able to spend so much time with the kids, and that's just a huge blessing. So why wouldn't we want to sacrifice a little bit of time here and there? And what we do is just plan around our kids' time. So, at night we do Zoom calls when our kids are asleep, and we do our follow-up calls when our kids are taking naps. And so it's really doable if you just find a little extra time, and you might feel like you don't have it, but you just have to do it and Jacqueline said this before, but you have to make time for doTERRA, work everything around doTERRA and make a plan, or the day will just go and you won't have it. You won't be able to do your 6-3-1 schedule. You have to make it a priority, or it will just fly by. So it's really important because it's helping so many people. And we're just very grateful.
Thank you, Kim. That's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Jacqueline Child.
Okay, so I'm going to try to keep it together. But the last few callers, it's I just don't know why I raised my hand, because it's something sacred's happened today. And I don't want to disrupt it with some crazy comment. I don't know if I can do it, but when I originally raised my hand, it was because you asked, why we started doing this, and oh, crud. So I started doing it because I was 32 years old and thought my life had ended. I could hardly walk. I was in constant pain. I was useless by the afternoon. And how could I not share this? And so that's why I started. And then within a short amount of time, I really caught the vision of the business side of it. And not necessarily the money side, but the sharing side and getting this into everyone's home. It's not that originally I didn't have that in mind. It's just that I didn't have much faith in myself. I can remember when Seth said, so what's your goal, your long-term goal? And I said, $1,000 a month. Isn't that lame? And I really didn't even think I could possibly get that, but I didn't want to disappoint Seth and say less than that, you know. But within a short amount of time, after having several pivotal conversations, I realized that this was going to be big. This was going to be huge. We were going to touch so many people's lives. We were going to bring back people's lives to them who physically were unable to accomplish anything. And I had been so active my whole life. I got a minor in dance, and I was very involved in sports throughout growing up and even in college with intramurals, and I could have done college sports, but I chose not to. And then here I was, 32, with 5 kids. So that's why I started. And one of the reasons I feel so emotional is because I think her name was Rebecca, the person that went under after Courtney. You know, she said that comment about these women who don't think they can do anything while they have kids, and then their kids leave and they don't get anything done then either. And that just really hit me, because I really have seen that with people in doTERRA. And just how she said that woman who had 4 kids and can't ever get anything done. And, you know, I have ample energy. I have vitality, and thank goodness for the vitamins and Mito 2 Max. I get so much done, and I have 6 kids, and I homeschool a bunch of them. and it's not like I'm a superhero. People ask me all the time, how do you do it? If you have energy and you feel healthy, you can do so many things. If you can wake up at 5 in the morning and go to bed like at 10:30 and still feel full of vibrancy, or even go to bed at midnight and still wake up at 5, I mean, you can do so many things. I remember reading about Benjamin Franklin and his schedule for the day, and it was like he woke up super early, he went to bed late, and I thought, how could a person do that? Well, now I know how. It's called good nutrition. So I just have to say amen to everything that's been said, and thanks for letting me blubber and share a little bit of my story.
Well, I'm actually not going to let you stop. So Jacqueline, when you said that you were 32 and you felt like your life was over, was it because of the pain that you were in?
Absolutely. It was when you feel like you're in constant pain, you feel like you can hardly walk after the afternoon. I mean, and then you develop really bad anxiety because you don't know how to function as an individual. Then you feel like your life is over. You're mentally and physically just can't do a thing.
So because, now just so everybody knows, Jacqueline's my baby sister, and when she was, 14, when you were born, you didn't have a hip socket. I think your right hip or something.
Right. And so they rebuilt the right hip socket, or built it, and then they actually also fused my back because I had slipping discs, or one disc that they watched for years, and it just kept slipping and slipping and slipping, and they finally said, we just got to stop it from slipping.
So they fused some vertebrae in your back and constructed a hip socket for you. But even after that, I mean, like you mentioned, I mean, you were super athletic when you were younger and all that, despite that. But
yeah, and I was in a lot of pain too, and I could still do it. But there gets to a point where,
so you were in pain all the time. But by the time you had 5 children, I guess your body just hit its max.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, I was an emotional wreck. Just totally a wreck.
So emotionally, like with anxiety, and it was because of because physically you couldn't function, and that was causing the anxiety?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So I actually remember when I was teaching a class in your home when you were inviting people to your home, and I was mentioning the lifelong vitality and how much it helps with pain. I actually remember looking at you during the class, and you had this look on your face, like it was the look of hope, really. And then in the class you mentioned, you're like, I'm really excited about lifelong vitality. And so when you got your health, so you just started using lifelong vitality, and it impacted your pain pretty big, in a big way. And so when you were saying why you do this, it's because you feel like it's given you your life back, and you need to pay that forward. How what do you mean?
Yeah, that's exactly it. That was the original reason, and continues to be one of my reasons, was imagine if you hadn't shared with me, I don't know where I'd be today. And I've seen other people who are really addicted to painkillers and stuff, and at that point in my life, I wasn't going to touch this stuff because I knew I'd become addicted to it. It'd become an everyday, all-day thing. But I might have gotten desperate. And so the first reason I started, I didn't have any faith in myself, to be honest with you. I had no faith in my ability to build a business. When I said $1,000 a month, I thought I'd be lucky if I got 200. But I just was like, whatever the consequence, whatever, whether or not this gets big or, that was not even in my mindset. It was just a feeling of obligation.
Well, the thing that's incredible is that I've always believed that that's incredible that you didn't believe in yourself, because I remember thinking, man, Jacqueline's going to be everything you are, and even more. So it's interesting the self-limiting beliefs that we have, it's just interesting. All right, Jacqueline, I love you more than you can comprehend, but thanks for sharing.
Ditto to you.
Norma Strange, go ahead.
Well, there's been so many things shared. It's just what an incredible call. I really felt like there was a statement that would kind of summarize some of this, is that, I know for myself, I've been a working mom my entire career. I went back to work with my first child after 9 weeks of having a maternity leave, and that's when I started my branding and marketing business. And I worked that business full-time. Well, I worked it part-time while I was working a full-time job while I was having my first child, and my husband and I were balancing daycare and all kinds of things, because, I knew that I wasn't going to get out of the rat race by my job, because I was working 60 hours a week, and I took every minute that I had to build a branding business. And at the end of the year, I was making the same thing for my 20 hours of branding business as I was for my 60-hour job. And so at the end of that period of time, I jumped over to my entrepreneur venture. And you know my story. You know that it's like, you get yourself trapped into your own nightmare of a small business that has no systems and has no freedom. And it's like, now I'm working 80 hours a day or 80 hours a week at my own thing. And I'm too bad of a boss to myself to ever give myself a time off. So, there's just such a rat race of things. And that went on for a decade or more, probably about 12, 13 years. I published some children's books, and I was thinking, okay, these books are going to get me out, and I'll be able to have a life with my family. And it was crazy, because when we had the second child in my own business, I went back to work right after that 2 days later, because two of my staff basically didn't live up to their end of the bargain. And so after I had my second child in 2001, I went back to work 2 days after having her. And it's not because I'm a martyr mom or a strong person. I don't have any strength compared to the stories we've just heard. But it's interesting how, you just keep on pushing through. And I kept on taking that mentality of like, we're going to get to freedom. We're going to have quality of life. And I realized along the way that I was working so hard at trying to make a living that I had forgotten that I had been given life. And if we just step back for a moment and go, wow, I've been given life. What am I going to do with that? Wouldn't that be a better way to plan our career and do our livelihood versus I'm going to go and keep chomping at these crazy, gerbil wheel kinds of jobs and businesses. And when doTERRA came around in my world, I was resistant to see that it was even the blessing because I was so tainted by everything that I couldn't believe in anything anymore. And I had taken a turn from doing consulting to just selling out for a full-time job. And, I was making less pay than I ever had, but I had a consistent paycheck coming in every week. And I was thinking that, this is what I needed to do to provide and to be able to, it took 2 incomes for our family the way that we're structured. And it just felt like that was the commitment I had to do, but I was sort of like put out to pasture. I was dead. And thank goodness for Rod, being patient with me over 2 years' time, continually staying in relationship with me, even after, we had left the partnership and everything. It was just amazing to think about, like, what's available. But then the other thing that came along was that doTERRA came in and was such a blessing to me personally because I had an anxiety attack. I had panic feelings. I had overwhelming stress, and I couldn't figure anything out. And someone taught me to take these silly little bottles of oil, Balance and Serenity, and put it on the bottom of my feet, put it on my hands, smell it, cup your hands and smell it, put it on the back of your neck. And within 3 minutes, 4 minutes time, I was resolved from feeling like I was dying from overwhelming anxiety and panic feelings. I thought I was having a heart attack. I felt like I had worked myself as an entrepreneur to the end of my rope, and someone had suggested to me in a class one time that you should try this, and I had that opportunity to try it when I needed it the most, and I had a comparison event, Seth, that I know what anxiety looks like when you're put into the back of an ambulance and you're being driven away from your home and you see your house just diminishing out that back window, because that had happened to me 10 or 12 years prior. I'd already hit that wall once. And luckily the second time I hit it, I had bottles of oil that resolved it within 3 or 4 minutes. So I had a great comparison of why I needed to do this, because no one should be left alone in their thoughts without knowing that they have hope and that they have something they can try, and they have a friend that can bring oils over or a family member that can get them, to them. And I love our network because I can call up anywhere, anybody, anytime and say, hey, I've got somebody nearby you. Can you get a bottle of Balance to them, or can you get some oils over to this person, or I can FedEx and ship them out. It's such an interesting part to be a part of delivering hope. And to hear the stories that we've heard today, it's like everyone's being restored. People thought I had such confidence and they thought I had great self-esteem, and I've never had it. My bucket's always had holes in it, and I've just kept up the sort of Jetson kind of cardboard front, so you never knew that. And I would just keep on working it, hoping that at one point or another that I would feel like I was valuable enough. And so what's cool is that doTERRA actually helps us to become the best that we can be, so we can be valuable not only for ourselves and our families, but we get to be the hope for others. It's just an amazing process. I can't thank this company and you and Rod and things, the leaders that are here. I've had impact with each one of the people that have been speaking. You guys are amazing, and I'm so glad to be a part of the community. I just can't even believe we get to offer this invitation to people, because it's freaky how great it is.
Yeah, it's actually kind of devastating when people turn it down, because you're like, if you had any clue what you were missing out on, it would be amazing if you were able to, to experience it in your life.
But you know what, Seth?
Jody,
yes. But they're not understanding who they are yet. And what's really wild is we don't even realize the invitation is going out to hurt and broken people. I was hurt and broken so badly, and thank goodness Rod knew that intuitively and spiritually. I'm sure he felt that prompting. I mean, he was there to make sure that I wouldn't give up on it, and that I wouldn't give up on me, and that I could be. He knew that I could be helpful to bring hope to others. So, I mean, when we're asking and inviting someone and they're pushing us back or they're not getting it yet, I say that's even more time to pay attention. Not necessarily to haunt them or anything, but to lean in a little more on. You might be the hope and saving grace for them, and they might need to be able to trust you. I had trouble trusting that this could work for me because I was so broken on trust. I hated geranium. It smelled terrible, and that's the oil of trust, love, and trust. It smelled like, something that was nasty to me in the beginning. Now it smells like great flowers. But, so I just say when you get that invitation rejected or you get a pushback, it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with how hurt we are and how broken we are.
Right. Thank you. Jody Ashford, go ahead.
Thanks, Seth. So,
by the way, before you start, Jody, before you start, I just want to acknowledge what Norma said. I was looking at the clock, and I was so anxious to make sure that you get a chance to speak that I forgot to say thank you, Norma. That was an amazing comment. Go ahead, Jody.
Yeah, I actually agree with that, and I'd also like to add in there that geranium is not my favorite oil either. So, yeah, I haven't found appreciation for it yet. Anyway, no, I, of course, was thinking about everything that everybody has said, and, of course, mine was much like Courtney's. But, the reality is that for the last few months especially, every time I talk to my kids, especially if I'm talking to them in a correction kind of a way or anything like that, I'm always looking at them, and I feel like I'm looking at them as if they're their 10-year-old version of them, like 10 years older than what they are now. So my 10, almost 11-year-old, I'm looking at him at 20, almost 21 years old, and so on. And it really just kind of came to a point for me that this is where my why has started to really become much more developed, is that, as I think about the next few years, and I think about he's only, 8 years away from graduating high school, and what are the things that I need to and want to accomplish with each and every one of my kids before they leave my home, it really just comes down to that is what drives me, because I think that there's so much value and so much beauty in what we have to offer that is so important for our kids to learn all of these things. And so as I'm leaving my home for classes, or I'm leaving for work, or I'm doing, these things too, or, I have to sneak away into the bedroom to make a phone call or whatever it is, and they're noticing those things. They know that it's for them. They know that it's for us as a family. But literally and truly speaking, like, my heart for so many months, especially for the last few months, really has just been on what adventures and what things that I want my kids to learn in the next few years that they are in my home, because that's the most vital and the most important thing for me to be able to teach them. It's just going way too fast anyhow. But as we are working with this business, with our doTERRA business, and now that I'm not doing hair anymore, I've seen major shifts positively in our lives, and how that has affected our family and how it's starting to affect others that are surrounding us. And it really drives us, it motivates us to be able to just go out and do more. And my kids couldn't be more happy for us than anybody. I mean, they're just cheering Chad and I both on, and that drives Chad and I even more. That's why we do it. Everything that Courtney said, basically, just I'm going to say ditto on it, and everything that everybody else has said, it's been exactly what it is. But like I said, that 10-year version of each one of my children, I look at that and I just think there is so much that we have to teach them, and to be able to get where we can in our goals in doTERRA, the income that it will provide and the experiences in life that it's going to provide for them is probably the most vital and the most critical time of our lives to be able to do that, especially with the way the world is going right now. Anyway, so.
Yes, that's fantastic, Jody. And, the thing I love about what you said is I want to echo something you just mentioned. My oldest just turned 18 this year. He's in his senior year of high school. And you're right, time flies by. And before you know it, these kids are gone. And you know what? One of the best things that you could teach your kids is how to set a goal and reach the goal, and to have dreams, and to think big, and to look, and to teach them to do something with their life, and that they're not a victim, that no one's a victim to their circumstances, that they can actually go out and do something. When my 18-year-old boy comes and talks to me and he says, "Dad, why do you make more in a month than most people make in a year?" And I cheer inside, because I'm just like, I'm so glad I get to teach you this, and I'm glad that you notice this, because because now you need to learn how to think. And then when I teach him how to think, and he realizes it's different than the way the rest of the world thinks, he gets that because he saw me succeed. And you know, we started off this call. I just want to make this one point, and then we'll end the call. At the beginning of the call and last week, we started with, how do you do it? How, as a mom, do you figure this out? How do you do it? But did you notice that the power of the call shifted dramatically when we switched to why? Like this, the minute that this focus became why do you do what you do, then the how is it doesn't even matter. And I think that this is why we keep on talking about, well, what's your why? What's your reason? Why are you doing this? This is why we give you the journaling assignment. This is why we have all of those things, is to help you determine why you do something. And when you know why you're doing it, then the how is figured out. The how is just, okay, if I have a strong enough reason, then I figure out how to do it because I know why. And you'll notice the power of the comments, the how it touched people's hearts, how it impacted. I know that I had a shift. I was listening to it, and I'm like, my word, how to do it matters very little compared to why you do it. And I hope that if there's anything we understood from the call today, it's that. And I also want to just mention one other thing, and that is, pay attention to what your gut, what's your intuition, what the spirit tells you to do. Because I was driving in to my office to do this call today with the total intention of continuing along with the why, or the how, of asking mothers how to do it. Right when I parked my truck, the message came into my head: ask them why. And I kind of questioned it a little bit, and I wanted to go ahead with the how. And it was just interesting to see how things changed when I shifted to why. Pay attention to what you feel and and the thoughts that come to you. Act on those promptings, and you'll have some phenomenal results as well. Anyway, thank you everyone for participating on the call, and God bless you in your efforts.